We are honored
Hello.
to have. Hi, Francesca Obretti. Thanks for coming on this call. I'm going to give you a brief about who we have on this call today. It is Francesca Obretti, who's a seasoned professional in human behavior, special education, and social work, whose expertise has shaped both academic publications and transformative community initiatives. As a founder of Friend Therapy, Francesca empowers individuals and families, particularly those navigating special needs, with personalized strategies rooted in mind body practices. She also created Voice in Pictures, a vital Facebook platform amplifying voices in mental health, ADHD, and autism advocacy. Her work reflects a deep commitment to equity, healing, and the power of tailored care. Let's dive in. I now pass on this mic to Francesca Obretti, also sweetly and fondly called as Fran, to give us a brief introduction, and I'll dive into the questions then after that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, first of all, and thank you for your kind words and introduction. Yes, what you just said, friend therapy and voice in picture are actually two interconnected realities. We want to empower individuals, especially those with special needs, as well as to have an accessible platform on voice in picture for people to raise awareness and for people to share their experiences with mental health, autism, ADHD, and special needs.
Absolutely. Thank you, Fran. So let's dive in. Um, what is the process for diagnosing ADHD?
Okay, so the process of diagnosis ADHD has several steps. First of all, it has to start with an initial concern. Usually, the concern is brought up by a parent, a carer, someone that has a significant role in the child's life. They might noticing a difference in behavior. Usually, the main symptoms, but of course, it's a spectrum, so there might be specific symptoms or a combination of symptoms. Are restlessness, your child always feeling on the go. You might see impulsiveness. You might see lack of focus and attention. If you have that concern, you can go to a general practitioner, a family doctor, or a pediatrician, and they will ask you some questions. And then, if it's the case, they will refer you to a specialized professional. Can be like a psychologist, a psychiatrist. And then is when the formal process really starts. There will be interviews. So, as a parent, carer, or educators, you will be asked questions about your child behavior, communication, social life, social skills. And those data will be, of course, then measured against standardized criteria, and the child will be observed in his natural environments. And usually, in the case of children, it's at home and in school. After those observations and measuring this data against standardized criteria, a diagnosis might be formulated. And then, of course, it's for the parent and the professional to come together, discuss the diagnosis, and make decision on how to move forward. So, which is the best course of action? Because, of course, you want to build the best support network around your child, and it's going to change over time because as your child grows and develops, the support around them needs to be adjusted to meet their specific needs as well as preferences.
Interesting, very interesting. Thank you. How do ADHD symptoms vary from child to child? What are the common subtypes that are there in ADHD?
Okay, so the symptoms can vary from child to child because every child is different and the way their brain works is different and unique. So the three main categories with the ADHD is the predominantly inattentive type. So you might see your child actually lacking in focus, in attention. They might be having trouble, in follow through with tasks. They might not be able to complete a task or a chore around the house, and you might feel like they are daydreaming or spacey, but actually they are really trying to pay attention to you, just the way their brain works. The second type is the hyperactive impulsive predominant. presentation, which you can see your child, for example, being restless, always feeling on the go, fidgeting. You might see behavior such as, finger biting the inner part of their mouth, not being able to stay sit for a long period of time, blurting out answers before actually letting you finish what you're saying to them. So it brings a lot of problem with, misinterpretation and misunderstandings. And then there is the third type, which is a combined type presentation, where you have elements of the impulsiveness and hyperactivity, but also elements of the inattentiveness. It's interesting with ADHD because the spectrum is wide. You can see children very active and very energetic, but it can also manifest with behavior such as lethargy and procrastination.
Very interesting. Thank you. It gives us a perspective of ADHD symptoms and the kind of common subtypes. Um, what are some effective strategies for managing ADHD in children?
So there is a lot that can be done actually for ADHD children, and there is always new ideas coming up. So I would say that there are a few main categories. The first one is the behavioral strategies. So with the behavior, personally, I do believe that the goal is the long-term development of the child. So it is not about reprimanding or correcting the behavior. It's for you as a parent and for your child to learn what triggers them. And if once you know about those triggers, you are able to find the appropriate solutions. So, for example, a trigger might be when someone says, no, I get hyperactive, I get agitated, or when my sensory needs are not met, or when I'm low in sugar because I need my meal or I need a snack throughout the day. So the more you know about your child, the better it is to find a solution. And it's also the goal should be teaching them self-regulation techniques. So, for example, if you have a child that has difficulties in staying still or is restless and always on the go, you want to teach them how to self-regulate their body and their mind to achieve a calmer state. And that can be done by, relaxation technique, deep breathing, gentle stretching, engaging in a sport, in a hobby that they really like. Because what we know about ADHD children is that they thrive on motivation. The more they are motivated, so if you engage them with an activity that is very motivating, they will be able to be more focused. They will be able to actually, complete what they are doing. And so I feel like it's about self-awareness, teaching, which is a lifelong skill that you can teach your child. So become more self-aware of what's going on inside you to then be able to find the right solution out there. While if you only reprimand or correct the behavior, it might be a very effective solution, but it's very short time. And actually sometimes a child doesn't really have the understanding because we can't forget that behavior is a form of communication. So when your child is acting out, is just trying to communicate to you about an emotion, about a feeling, about an event. But because children go to different developmental stages, they might not be able to actually understand what they are feeling. And so as an adult, we are responsible of the emotional tone of the conversation.
Yeah,
So that would be my perspective on how to help with behavior. And then you've got the environment, what I call environmental enrichment strategies, which is on the one hand logistical. So logistically, you can help your child, for example, in school. If they fidget, if they need movement breaks, maybe you can plan for them to allocate 15 minutes to an activity and then have a movement break. I would say that also this movement break should always be productive activity. It might be sitting in a calm corner for self-regulation. It might be a sensory diet, a sensory circuit, or just a gentle stretch or having a dance because you are easing the focus, but at the same time, you are still exercising it. You are not losing it. Or there might be arrangements such as alternative method of assessing for exams. So instead of writing assignment, you can think of, project, because it's proven that with ADHD children, they really like hands-on activity. So if they are able, to engage in hands-on activity, it might be a better way of assessing them. Also, a bigger chunk of activity being broken up into smaller chunks so that they are achievable and there is that sense of accomplishment.
understood. So you're talking about mirroring strategy with the parent and the child. So
Yeah.
you enact that calm, composed behavior where you also take breaks, and then it
Yes,
also
yeah.
emulates to the kid.
That would be the other environmental enrichment in the sense that the children, they do understand our energy, the energy that we bring in a room. So as an educator or as a parent, of course, you want to keep, for example, the communication channel open. You want to match their energy, because if they are having, like some moment of restlessness, and you come into the room with a calm demeanor, of course, you are projecting your demeanor on them, and there is a chance that they will you are modeling for them, and then they will actually see what you are doing and replicate. So that's the second bit of the environmental enrichment that is very important. And I do feel that the more parents and educators talk to each other and are consistent in the approach, the better is for the child, because you are sending them the same message. And of course, things are going to change, because what works today is not going to work tomorrow. So within the same approaches, you need a certain degree of flexibility.
Very interesting. Yeah. So that brings us to a different question, which is also related, which you touched upon, and I want to double down on that, which is what role does nutrition play in managing ADHD symptoms?
Okay, so as we know, nutrition doesn't cause ADHD, but of course it plays a role in navigating the symptoms of the ADHD. So when we eat our food, of course, we have a spike in our blood sugar, and then usually gradually this lowers down until the next meal. But if you eat too much processed food, which are rich in additives and preservatives, or food that are too rich in refined sugar, you are actually not giving your body and your mind the mineral, the nutrients, and the vitamins that the body needs to be able to work physically, but also mentally. And so you will have a spike, immediate spike in blood sugar, and then your blood sugar level will lower down, and you will develop a craving. Usually, that craving is for more food that doesn't have any nutritional value, or it's a dopamine search. So you are looking, for dopamine release. And I would suggest that if you are thinking about, a certain type of nutritional plan around your child, first and foremost, be sure that you have a full blood panel, because you really want to know what's going on. So what is missing, if you need to do some supplementation. Also, I can't stress enough the importance of hydration. So drinking water mainly, because it's proven that if you don't drink enough water, usually it does have an impact on your focus and attention. And if you feel like your child might have sensitivities or allergies to certain type of foods, just test them, and maybe those food need to be reduced or even eliminated from the diet.
Very interesting. Thank you. Um, so, from my understanding, I want to understand from you, how does ADHD impact a child's daily life, including their school performance and social interactions? And how can we positively be a support for that?
Okay, so I do. My personal opinion is the ADHD. It's like a guideline. Okay, it's a diagnosis, but you don't have to be defined by the diagnosis. You just know what you are dealing with, so the struggle that you might have. And of course, when you are in school, we all know that we need to complete certain tasks and assignment in a certain amount of time, and they need to be properly done. And if there is a child lacking attention and focus, ultimately that will have an impact on their performances, because there might be more misunderstanding, incomplete tests, trouble organizing, the homework, or just trouble, listening to the teacher during a lesson. In a level of social life with other peers, of course, we interact with others by using our words, but mainly our body language. So, for example, if I'm interacting with you and I lack focus and concentration, you might perceive like I'm not interested in what you are saying, and there is a risk of being rejected, of being more keen on being isolated from peers. But again, it's a matter of awareness, because I know I'm dealing with this. I can also let the other person know, okay, this is how my brain works. And if it's a real friendship, of course, is going to go over this and is going to find a way to actually make the relationship fulfilling for the person. And a daily life, we all know that if you have a child with ADHD at home, or anyone that has a diagnosis, it might put a stress on the relationship. So I would say, for example, for parents, if they are in a partnership, to always take care of your mental health as well. So just ask your partner to take care of your child while you are dedicating half an hour to yourself. It could be like a warm bath, a cup of coffee, or talking to a friend, or exercise. Just be sure, for example, that nutrition becomes a goal for the whole family. So you're taking care of your child, but you're also taking care of your own mental and physical health. And I do feel that one of the best piece of advice I could give to parents is just don't compare yourself to other people. You never know what's going on behind closed doors. Everyone is dealing with something, but actually try to link with other parents and carers and professionals, people that can help you with solution ideas and perspective. And this can be easily done. For example, in UK, few schools run coffee morning. A parent can advocate for that. So they meet with people, working in school, and it's a way for parents and carers to meet up. And you will be blown away by the friendship that you see, blossoming from there, because you understand that you are not alone, that you maybe are dealing with the same issue. They come up with you with new ideas and perspective. You might be the one inspiring someone else with different solution on things. So that would be the
Wow.
best piece of advice.
Sounds very interesting. Could you throw some more light on that aspect?
Yeah, of course. So I remember from my experience, working in school during pick up or drop off, parents sometimes, gathering together, and some of the parents also, if you go on your school website, you might be able to find the email address or the telephone of people that actually do advocate on behalf of parents. So you might be able to link with them, but some of the best advocates are the parents themselves. And so simple things, communication difficulties or a sensory need, they might be discussed during drop-off and pick-up. You find out that this person using that service in the community, or that you might access that online resource. And it gives you that boosting confidence as well. And also always keep advocating, because when I was teaching in school, I used to have daily communication with parents, especially with those children that additional needs. So I would use, for example, a simple notebook describing how the day went, and also if there was any behavior that started to be concerning. And I was expecting the same from home, because so you can have precious information, you can understand what's going on in school, what's going on at home. If the same behavior is happening in both settings, you can come together with the parents and try to find a solution. I do feel that the message I would like for parents and carers is that as a professional, we only build up on the solution that parents are already actually implementing at home. We are just adding new perspective and ideas. But sometimes it's the other way around. Sometimes my best ideas came from solutions that parents or carers were already using at home in their own environment, because they are the ones that know their children best.
Yeah.
But I know that it's something that needs to be worked on, the communication between family and school. It's actually a big part of what I'm advocating. You have rights, your child have rights. You need to be able to communicate with a professional. If you're not satisfied, it needs to be addressed.
And you have a forum for that.
Yeah, in Voice in Picture, I talk a lot about that, and I have a lot of clients coming up to me, actually asking me, we have a meeting with the teacher for the individualized educational plan or a behavioral support plan. How can I go there and be prepared? What kind of questions should I be asking? Because sometimes these kind of meetings are led by the principal and led by the teachers, but actually they should be co-led, because the parents play a key role. They are the ones spending the most time with their children. They know them the best. So you really want to work as a team. You want to team up.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. I mean, that brings us to the next question that I had in mind, which is what are some of the most effective classroom accommodations for children with ADHD, and how can parents advocate for these?
Okay, so there is a lot that can be done. Logistically, for example, I used to work in a classroom that was providing, sensory tools, so fidgety toy, Play-Doh, Therapatti, all those material that can be manipulated for the child to not bottle up, but actually to release energy. Or being able, for example, to sit at the table with on a stress ball, or being able to have a stand-up desk. So these are like simple accommodations that actually help a child to release the pent-up energy. Or in the morning when they come in, if there is an OT in the school, making sure that they have a sensory diet in place. Sensory diet is a series of activity that helps, the body mind to achieve a calmer state. And if it's done regularly, especially in the morning or at intervals throughout the day, it becomes a resource for children to learn how to self-regulate. And then, as I mentioned before, just if there is a big task, chunk those tasks into smaller ones so that you give the child a sense of accomplishment, because also positive reinforcement plays a role here. If a child is able to complete a task, they will feel proud about themselves. And if you let them notice that they made it, of course, it's going to create a link in their mind. Okay, they are praising me because I was able to finish my task. Um, and then thinking about alternative method of assessment, like we discussed before, more hands-on activity that really work. They do really work very well with ADHD children because they need that vestibular, the physical input. And how to advocate for that? First and foremost, as we discussed before, just keep the communication open. You need to be able to communicate with the class teacher. If you feel like you need to escalate, you need to be able to communicate with the head teacher. And if your child is entitled to an individualized educational plan, you might want to look into one-to-one support, which is a tailored type of support build around your child. Or sometimes it's just a matter of small groups. So, for example, there are a few projects here in the UK where a child with special needs is allowed to take part in activity with mainstream pupils. And so they are exposed to a different environment with different routines. And because children learn best from children, it's also a way for them to learn from someone that, is at different levels. And you are kind of propelling yourself in that way.
Very interesting. I want to pause here and give a different question, which is what we are talking about could be early detectors or maybe grade one, grade two case scenario. What if you detect or you notice certain ADHD symptoms at grade eight, or further than that? What do you advocate for such kind of accommodation or such kind of positive environment for the child to grow and nurture?
How do you mean from the perspective of parents?
Yeah, from the perspective of parents.
Yeah, first and foremost, I think that you need to inform yourself about, legal rights, and there are charity for that, or you can refer to the school because they should have advocate or support worker to be able to help you interpret the law, because of course we know that it's not easy. And then a request for all sorts of tools, so individualized educational plan, behavioral support plan. You can have OT, occupational therapists, working more on fine motor skills or a sensory diet. Some school have.
So you're talking about much higher, older kids, right? In grade 8, grade 9, all those set of kids.
Oh yeah, they are still entitled to all those tools, but with them, I think you really want to do the work on skills for independence. So because of course they are growing up, I feel like the work on skills for independence. So for example, in some school they run after school club, but also within the hours, they are taught how it looks like to live by themselves. So for example, they have this small apartment that they can go to, and they are simulating how would it be to live by themselves, or how to actually, what do you want to do after school? So having those chat about my passion, my hobbies, what I wish to become, or what are my interests at the moment, and also social skills groups. So the children needs to be able to talk to peers and to be able to understand, what's going on with others, because it will help you to understand what is going on within you. But I would say that, especially with children hitting puberty, work should be done around feelings and emotion to have a better self-awareness of what can be the trigger and how I can respond to the trigger with all sorts of solutions.
Thank you. Thank you. Very interesting. That brings us to the next question, and very important. How can parents manage their own stress and emotional well being while raising a child or a kid with ADHD?
I think first and foremost, don't isolate yourself. Always try to reach out to people. If you have significant people in your lives, if you have a partner, or if you are a single parent, just try to link up with other parents and rely on the professional. So if your child is taken care of by a range of professionals, just keep the communication open. Don't forget about your own self-care. It might be a simple act. Even if you're not able to leave the house, just having a nice cup of coffee, but there is maybe a trusted adult that is taking care of your child, or just have some exercise in, even if it's when your child is asleep and you can watch a video on YouTube and listening to some relaxing music, do some yoga. It does really have an impact on your mental and physical health. And also, uh, if you take care of yourself, your child will notice, and the communication will be different, will be much more nurturing as environment. And talk to yourself in a nice way, in the sense, be kind to yourself. So don't think that other people have everything figured out. You never know what's going on behind closed door. So just try to observe what are the people actually that can help you to achieve what you wish to achieve for your child, and try to interact with those people and make friendship actually. And be mindful of your own nutrition as well. If you're working with your child on their nutrition, be mindful of your own nutrition, because it's going to serve you at mental and physical level. And then there is all sorts of tools, like relaxation techniques. And if I can also give a piece of advice, find an activity or an hobby that you share with your partner if you are in a relationship, or if you are a single parent, or even in a partnership, a hobby that as a family you share, because you're going to invite the happy chemicals. You're going to add the element of fun, which is going to bring you endorphins, which is going to help the whole family. But look for something that is not related to your child necessarily, but that everyone in the family enjoys.
Interesting. So one is taking care of yourself, your stress, and taking breaks. You're saying
Yeah,
relaxing.
establishing a routine as well. So establishing a routine can be very helpful around meal times, around who is taking care, who is doing this chore, who is having this duty, and also boundaries, because we don't have to say yes to everything. We need to be mindful of what is healthy, what is unhealthy, and if we can't take over more responsibility on that day or on that period of time, we just need to be able to let people know.
Very interesting. Yeah. And also find your partner or someone to hold on and get into an activity. Very interesting.
Yeah. Reach out to people, and reach out to people. Actually, link with people that can give you something back, can give you empathy, listening, can engage you in activity outside. Outdoor is really important. You need to get your vitamin D as well to be able to function, which is not always easy in some country, as we know.
Yeah. Canada, I can say now it's slowly
No,
getting in there.
same, but it has to come from inside. And so it does really help if you also look at your child's strength, and you actually have a more positive mindset on things. Okay, we are dealing with this, but we can deal with this in a positive light, rather than looking at what is not working. Look for what is working and might work in the future, because luckily there is plenty of solution out there. It's just a matter of trial and attempts, and see what works for your child, and you know being able to be flexible within your approach. I do feel people need to challenge their own beliefs as well, like be open to new ideas and new perspective, and also be open to be the one inspiring someone else.
Interesting. My next question: how can parents educate themselves on ADHD?
I think the best form of education comes from observing your child. So be an observer and explorer. Be always curious of all the stages of development, of all the changes that your child undertakes, throughout the years. So if you can, as much as you can, try to keep the communication open. A simple question like, how was your day? What was the best part of your day? What are you looking forward to at the weekend? What would you like to do together? So just build that bond, that relationship. This is why I was telling you, share a hobby, share an activity together. Um, and again, there is plenty of books, workshop you can attend in person or online. But I do feel the best form of education comes from interacting with other people. So engage with other parents, with educators, keep the conversation open with school, do your own research as well. So engage in a form of learning that is active. Just don't just wait to be fed by someone else, and also challenge the professional. As a professional, we love to be challenged by question, especially when they come from parents and carers, because at the end we
One
spend a very small portion of time with their children.
one thing that I've noticed, if you ask any child after coming back from school, how was your day at school? They just say nothing. Okay.
Yeah, sometimes it's just a way to relate, in a different way. Or maybe you can engage them in an activity that they like. They like go to the park or go for an ice cream, and then maybe it's a setting that will help them, to tell you more about the day. And sometimes they are just tired,
Yeah.
so they need some rest, and maybe they will tell you about their day a day later or at the weekend. It's just a matter of keep keep having that communication because they sense it. If you are interested in them, they know because there is that positive atmosphere that we were talking about earlier.
Very interesting. You've given us a good perspective on ADHD, how to identify, and how to be positively helping our kids in this journey. It was interesting and very helpful. So this is our
Thank
first
you.
part of series with Fran. Thank you, Fran. If you have any more thoughts before we end this discussion, please feel free to express that with HealerBuddy. We are always here to expand the horizons and give out the best tools from various ADHD experts, and we are here to help.
So first of all, thank you so much for having me. And I just invite people to keep reaching out and to keep looking, for new ideas and perspective on things. Don't let this diagnosis define who your child is. It's just a guideline. It's just a guidance for you, to look into new solution. And it can be a positive challenge. It doesn't have to be a negative one. And don't be afraid of advocating. You are the best advocate of your child. We are just the enabler in the sense that we are the support team, but keep in mind that the right professional are those professionals that actually want to team up with you for your child. So this is a wish more than an advice. I wish to see more of that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Francesca. This was
Thank you.
very interesting, and thanks for imparting your insights. So once again, HealerBuddy is here to help, and we have experts like Francesca who would be advocating for your growth and your support. So feel free to ask any questions. No question is silly. Um, thank you. You have a fantastic rest of the day.
And
Uh,
you, thank you so much for having me again. And
thank
thank you for all the audience.